Well, it was Ruby Tuesday, and now it's Let's Chat About That Rock Wednesday. Cheers, everyone. Let's see what happens. I'm waiting. There's a bit of a delay. And we should be going. There it is. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm going to read some of these comments that I missed while I was gathering all the things I need to get going and say some hellos. Karen was here, and cheers to you, Karen. So glad that you could join us this Rockin' Wednesday. Chubby Hubby, he says, good googly garnet gosh. That's a mouthful, Chubby Hubby. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Ryan says, ole. I saw garnets every time I closed my eyes to go to sleep at night for like 3 nights in a row, Ryan. Glad you're here. Good to see you. I love my bison. We had an awesome time. Glad that he could join us here for some of the chat. And I've got a 5x5 and a 5x5. Good. Thank you guys for that. And Romania's here again. Hello, Addie. Glad that you could join us. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Holy, did we have some adventures? Woohoo! Cheers. Oh my. I suppose we ought to just dive right into the stories. Squirrel's here. Hi, Squirrel. All right. Squirrel is squirreling away some wood for the winter, it sounds like. Hello, Rick Rock. Glad that you could join us. And hi, Walker, my favorite fan, my favorite viewer. So glad that you fellas could join us this afternoon. And Betty's here. Hi, Betty. Oh, my goodness. All the cool kids are here now. Oh, happy Wednesday, everybody. So we did the private party on the Madison. The band, we go do that. Excuse me, I have an itch in an odd spot. I'll try to not do that on camera. I have an itch because I was playing in the ants, and I've got ant bites all over my entire body. Hey there, Addie. I would say good morning or good afternoon to you, but you're commenting on the beautiful full moon this evening at your place. So glad that you could join us this evening, Addie, all the way over there in Romania. So the band, we always play this private party on the Madison this like last weekend in July. And we've gone in our trusty old tent several years in a row. And it's been, okay. And Jeff is here again. How's your trucking Wednesday going? Hopefully it's all downhill from here for the rest of the week and into the weekend for everybody. So the last couple of years, the weather gets a little wild up in there, and it's knocked my tent down, and it's kind of made camping there a bit of an adventure. And so we were able to take the camper this year, which was awesome because it hailed the first night we were there, and we didn't have wet stuff. We weren't worried about the wind blowing our tent down. It was wonderful. We played music that evening with all of our friends and family. well, family in the sense that we all grew up together. So uh, when we did a gig the night before Friday in Great Falls, and then we took off and made it most of the way down to the Madison from Great Falls that night. And then we only had just a little ways to go before we got there. We stopped at the Jefferson River just to get out and stretch our legs, and we found a his and hers rock that we'll look at here in just a second. And when we pulled up at our Madison party, there was a little girl. I don't know how old she was, maybe like 7, 8, maybe 7, I think, maybe. She was really little, really little. She might have been littler than that. I don't know. She like ran up to the truck and was like, "The band is here, the band is here." She was so excited. And she looks in our truck and she's like, "Where's the band?" And I'm like, "Well, they'll be here soon. You know, they stayed the night in Great Falls. They'll be here soon." And in the meantime, here comes her little brother, I assume, and an adult had him up on his hip, and he's kind of side eyeing my camper a little bit, and he says something to the adult, and I didn't catch it word for word, but I caught the gist of it, and it was that, you know, the band was going to be staying in this like crappy looking camper. What? And I laughed a little bit and I kind of reassured him. I was like, the camper might look old from the outside. It might not look very nice from the outside, but I promise you on the inside, it's nice. So we get backed into our little camping spot there, and the little girl, she's so excited. She's like, before we even get backed in all the way, she's telling us, "I'm going to sing the Star Spangled Banner tonight when the band sets up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like I just got informed of the itinerary this evening. So we get back in and she is like crawls into the camper and she's wiggling around on the couch, flopping around, eating a piece of watermelon, and then she's over at the bench flopping around, you know, wiggling around, chatting with me and Joseph. And I'd said something like, you know, "Is this gonna be okay? Can the band stay in this camper?" And she looks around a little bit. She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Is your camper bigger?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Is it not as hot? Like, is it way cooler than my camper?" And she says, "Yeah. And plus, mine doesn't smell bad," she says. And I was like, "What does my camper smell like?" And she said to her, it smelled like rotten eggs. And Joseph said, "That's my feet." Right, chubby hubby? Like, what are you doing hanging out in the band with the band anyway? Don't you know we're a bad influence? Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Anyway, no, it was really fun. Yeah, Joseph said it was my toe. It's probably my toes. I told her to wait till we camped in it in 4 days and come back then and tell us what it smelled like. I know what it smells like. It smells just a little bit musty or dusty or old. It smells vintage, right? And it's not an offensive smell. It's just, it's there. It's kind of there. And no matter how much I shampooed the upholstery, no matter how much I washed the wood, no matter how much I vacuumed the dust out of all of the cubbies and wiped down all the surfaces, no matter what I did, it's got an older smell to it, right? I don't think it smells bad at all, but I don't think she has musky in her vocabulary or old in her vocabulary. I think, you know, for a 6 or a 7-year old that was like, she was like, I don't know, it smells not nice. Like, you know, yeah, okay. Cheers. uh, so, I love the way you worded that, chubby hubby. The perfume of patina. That's exactly what it smells like. Oh, yes. So, Anyway, she did sing the Star Spangled Banner later that night, and she nailed it. Nailed it. And I was shocked because I've seen professional adults at professional events, such as the Super Bowl or whatever, mess up the words, get lost in a little loop and mess up the words. She made it all the way through from beginning to end with no problems. And she was just so brave and she nailed it. Like somebody had to hold her up to the microphone. So her grandpa or her, I don't know who it was, but it smells like turritilla. Oh. So, the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave? That one. Yeah, she nailed it. For the land of the free. Little kid. In fact, she might have got the words more right than most adults do. Like she articulated it even. It was wonderful. So, moving on. We did that. We made music. It was great. We had a lot of fun. I was so excited. Like at our last set, I'd whispered to the guitar player's significant other, our other roadie. See, Lava's our roadie and he comes along with us, but the guitar player's significant other, she also. So together they're our roadies and they've got kind of a special little bond as our roadies. They give each other crap. And then we put them to work. We make them haul gear. We make them sell merch. Oh. Anyway, at the last set there, I'd kind of whispered to Lily. I was like, dude, I can't wait to get back to the camper because we brought wieners and sauerkraut and I'm going to hit that so hard. And she was like, dude, you planned so good for this trip. And she was like, we brought wieners too. And we were like, throw them on our grill. We'll grill them all together. We got extra sauerkraut. She was like, can we? That's such a good idea. Oh my gosh. So we like hogged out on tubed meat and sauerkraut right after our last set there underneath of the, Madison River landscape sky and then called it a night and woke up and headed to Ruby Reservoir. So let's get right into Ruby Reservoir because I did find a couple of other rocks. So we'll look at those and the ones that we picked up on the Jefferson. And then we'll look at, this is day 1 finds for me, and this is day 2 finds for me. And, oh yeah, we need another. Yes, I agree. We do. It's on the list of things to get, that and paper towels. And then if we have time after we look at all of that, and if you guys are into it, I brought the bag, a bag of the dirt and I'll just grab a handful of it and we can do a little rock hound out of one of the bags so you guys can see what's in. We all can see. I don't know what's in there. How'd I do? I've never went up there and got dirt before. So in that order, I think is about how we will tackle today. So without further ado, we'll get right into it. And as we're looking at some of the rocks, I'll tell you about some of the characters and stories about how it was up there. You guys got a pretty good look. What'd you think? I felt horribly deceived, by the way. I had did all the Googlers and all of the searching the interwebs about how to get the garnets when I get there and what to expect. And I got good advice from the Googlers and good, words of wisdom or whatever. Like, yeah, it's a great time to go up there because right now is when the reservoir is lower or at its lowest, maybe even. And so there's more of the beach accessible. And I call it the beach too. And other people have called it the beach. But in my mind, that meant that there was like a beach, like where you could put a lawn chair. and there really wasn't that. And so, you know, I really didn't, before I went up there, imagine that it was so steep to get up and down. And like even the spots that were less steep and that we had to walk to get to were still kind of a little like a little, you know. So I was shocked by a couple of things, you know. I was shocked that you could find garnets that were this big up there or bigger. I mean, they're not gemmy. I saw one on Facebook right before I went up there. Somebody posted, "Look at this," and it was like super clear when they held it up to the sun. You could see through it, and I thought, wow, you know. But that's like a once in a lifetime kind of find up there, I'm sure, right? And so when I got up there and found, even though my first one wasn't very huge, when I found that first one, my mind was absolutely blowing. And so, yeah, we were able to find some bigger ones, and as we'll see when we turn the camera around, they're really not as nice as a lot of the littler ones. So I don't know if polishing them would help or do them any good, or I don't know. We're gonna have to just try some stuff and check it out. Hey there, Resort. So happy you could join us. Happy Wednesday. So I got all kinds of stuff ready to go here for you guys. Hopefully we can have a ton of fun today, because it sure was fun out doing all this. So this is our his and hers rock from the Jefferson River. We had to cross the Jefferson to get down to the Madison. And so we got out and stretched our legs a little bit. I got in the water a little and walked around. You can find rocks on the Jefferson and the Madison and some of the other rivers. You certainly can. You can find agates and jaspers and petwoods and all kinds of stuff, but it's just not quite as prevalent as it is on the Yellowstone. But anyway, this is the hers rock. This is the his rock. I'm going to go ahead and see if we can get in just a smidge bit closer. And I'm going to go ahead and wet this, because it is actually really kind of pretty. And then the his rock is really kind of cool. I like that like webbing, that like brecciation in there. It's super pretty to me. Plus the like bright yellows and oranges. I picked that up and was like, well, we got a keeper. We got at least one rock. Everything else was, it was a lot of quartz and just kind of ordinary stuff, you know, kind of stuff for us. And then on the way out, in the walking path, Lava Bison found his. And his is kind of cool too. Like, what's up with all like these little pocky holes and stuff happening? Like, the holes are wild. Look, it couldn't even, it caused a little vapor lock or something in there. It didn't even get wet down in there, did it? It still didn't. Or maybe it did. No, it didn't. There it goes. It's going down in there now. Okay. Yeah. Kind of a churty looking little thing, huh? I do indeed kind of adore it. So, his and hers off of our Jefferson stop. And then, let's see, find a spot to set those for just a minute. I need to clean up. Oh. When we got to Ruby Reservoir, before we even made it down to the beach, before I found even our first garnet, or we found our first garnet. Cheers, excuse me. Ryan. I stepped out onto the beach and I was like, this looks a little bit agate-y. Does it not? I mean, it's got the scuzz on it, so you can't see through some of it, but yeah, it was like, maybe we ought to keep that. And then I brought it home and washed it, and I was like, I don't know if it's as agate-y as it is churty. Hold it still. Holding it still, but is it still out of focus just a bit? Yeah. Yeah, I don't quite know. Anyway, get to the chopper. Chag it. It might be something kind of like that, you know? Some kind of, who knows what. And then, once in a while up there, we would find a little piece of what looks like some kind of a wonder stone. Oop. Hey there, Rufo. Wow, sorry about my hair in there. One of mine, greetings. Yeah, so I don't remember. We found 3 or 4 pieces of this up there. I'm reading all the comments. It's okay, Rufo. Yeah, no, we found this at Ruby Reservoir up here in Montana. Yeah, is it soft? I don't know. We'll have to play around with it. Like I said, we found a couple pieces, so we kept it. Because it is pretty. And it's not like the whole beach was littered with this. There were just a few pieces here and there. And then I might have found a big one like that that's a little less fancy, but either way. Okay. We will, let's see, did I get that wet? No, not bad. I'm going to switch this out to a bit of a whiter background. It's a 3 on the Mo's. It might be soft like that Montana Wonderstone. Cool. This weekend to check our new, our new horse, 95% chance we are buying it. Yeah, so does she have plans for where she's going to stay or what she's going to do while she's here? If you need any suggestions, I may be able to make some. It's not that silicified as Wonderstone. Alrighty, well. So, there were some other things. Like, I don't think this is a garnet, but I don't think that there's not, like, garnet stuff in there. And I liked all these really long, linear little sprays. Oh, good. Yeah, that is exciting news for sure. I liked all these little linear sprays of, I don't know, feldspar or whatever is in here. I like how it, I don't know, it gives us like a blue-gray, it's, or a schist, maybe it's schist with little garnets in it. Is it a garnet schist? There, look at us sciencing this out together. Anyway, I didn't intentionally bring a lot of this home, but this one kind of stood out to me. I was like, that's kind of an attractive stone, really. I mean, and I bet that's a trip under the microscope. And I haven't looked at it under the microscope yet, but I intend to fully. I mean, what a pretty rock, eh? Ah, well, if we spend that much time, looking at all the rocks, we're gonna be here forever. So let's get into day one's finds. Like I say, day one, I was pretty excited when I found that first bigger stone. I was like, oh my goodness. I didn't know you could find them that big up there. I really didn't. And, I mean, certainly there's different grades to all of these, right? So, and very few of the larger stones. Hello again, Brenda. Very few of the larger stones are actually like a facetable quality. Like, they're pretty junky. They're big, but that's got some good translucency to it, but it's like, looks to me like it's quite fractured and maybe even like a little bit grainy, right? So probably not gonna make a good faceted stone. Pretty dark. Some of the big ones still have a bit of matrix on them. Yes, some of the bigger ones are still, like, they'll have little, like, quartz blops and stuff kind of in them and things, so, or they lean a little bit more to the pyrite side of things. Like, that one's pretty grainy. This one's not terrible. I mean, it's dark, but there is some translucency there, and it seems to be a little bit more stuck together, tougher. I don't know. I might try running some of these through the tumbler and see what happens. But so there's some of the bigger finds. Let's just set those aside. And we'll look at, you know, there's a piece of one. Really, that's pretty interesting, Resort. Some of these, Brenda, may be appropriate for facet. Probably not that one again. That's it. It's dark, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like it's grainy to me. It seems to me like something that you would want to facet would look a little bit more like this. I mean, that's not humongous, so you're not going to get a big gem out of anything like that. In fact, it may be too small to even attempt. But, like, what about that guy? That guy might cut a gem. So, while these bigger ones, sure, they're, I mean, yes, they are garnets. They're just, they're not a good quality, you know? Some of them are better than others. So you can sort into like a few different classifications, you know, large but junky, and then, you know, large but nice. I'm okay. And then Patrick says maybe look at Kurt and see he might have done a video about putting some garnets in a tumbler. Ryan Festigrade would be low standard, mostly just for fun and collecting. Bingo. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, and, you know, like if you put in, I've got, give me just a second, we'll come right back to this. Let's see. Okay, so I have bought pay dirt before from a guy who lives up here, not all the way up here. He lives in Great Falls. That he has collected at Ruby Reservoir. And so even though these aren't all facetable and aren't all gem worthy, when you get a whole crapola of them and you put them in a little jar and you put them up in the window, it is super pretty. Oop, let's not pull the plug. Let's leave the cork in this jar. It's super pretty. You know, so I mean, what are you into? You know, you could use like some of these like for an inlay project or something, maybe even. I mean, there's stuff you could do with them, right? Like get creative. And like I say though, even just in a jar in the window, it's real pretty when the sun shines on it and shines through it. Can I claim the big and junky? I plan on doing some stuff with them. Seeding bags, giving them away, selling maybe some little lots and stuff. So yes, there is a possibility you'll get your hands on some of them. And then so these are also some that I've picked out of some prior bags that I bought from the guy who went down there and dug dirt and sold it to us. So like I say, you even just the smaller stuff, that by smaller stuff, you know, stuff that fit through the screen, there can be really nice stones in some of that. Right. Is the range of toughness by how they mineralize? I call it like baking in the oven. Backlit is very cool. Yeah, agree. I call it baking in the oven. Like that one just, you know, sat closer to the burner or a little farther away from the burner. And of course, by that, I mean, you know, some of the volcanics and heat and pressure and things that create some of these. So I'm going to pull out some of the, a couple of the nicer ones. We'll pull that one back out. We'll look at him again. That one's kind of small. Oh, well, we'll look at it. Look, that one's super pale. I wasn't even sure that that was one. But it kind of has the right structure. I don't know. When I pulled it out, I liked it. Isn't that the rule in rock counting? Is that there are no rules? That the only rule is if you like it, you can keep it, right? And and then we'll throw a couple of these on a back light. Bah. Yeah, okay. So, how'd you get in there? Let's check out. Ouch. Ouch, ouch. I got a stinging little ant bite on my leg. Is that carrots? Okay, good. Don't argue with where the rock wants to go. Exactly right. Let's see. We'll start with, like, how about this little guy? How big is he? He's pretty puny. 1.5 carrots. Probably about the same there. Yep. Oops, I should put him on the screen where you can see him, hey? A little closer to 2 on that one. Ooh, now we're getting in there. That's something somebody could play around with on a fastening machine. That's supplying a little bit of girth to play with, huh? A little wiggle room. And then, like, the last nice chunker there. Holy crap. You could play with that. Somebody who has a fastening machine should do something cool with that. Please. Pretty please. Let's see. There's a glare in the way there. 7.60 carats. Good golly. That's a chonker. Okay. Let's check those out. Where's the light switch? Here beeth the light. Where beeth the switch? There it is. This is not a gem light. But if we get the focus to be right, and the angle of the camera to be right, oh, let's not springy-dangy out of there. Let's see. I'm still not loving that. How about... Thank you for being patient with me as I try to get that in better focus for us all. Yeah, that looks pretty clean to me. I must ask you, are you not entertained? Are we entertained now? Are we? I certainly am. So that one's a little bit thicker. Not seeing a whole lot of color in it. Little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there's some good color in there. She's dark. Let's not talk about what's happening outside, Resort. Calling my faceting friends. Calling my faceting friends. That's a nice piece. Shoot. Dun dun dun! Lava. How many pounds of gravel did we bring home? You could practice till your heart's content. Can I up the exposure? Probably looks better in real life, but they still look dark on the screen because of the auto brightness. I know that they do. I don't know. Did whatever I just did did whatever I did did it help? And thank you for the tip, Patrick. Honestly, always full of helpful things. You could until your wheels fell off, literally. Okie dokie artichoke. Uh-oh. Focus. A lot of them do still look dark, even in real life. Like that one looks pretty dark. So does that one and that one and that one. But obviously some of those littler ones, we can see right through. What did Karen suggest? Perhaps old hole in the paper so the brightness. Oh, okay. Okay. Also, if I do this again, does that help? If I put the other light on? Yeah, for sure. Some of the littles are lovely for sure. But like I say, some of those bigger pieces, they're just, yeah, they're big and they are garnets and they are like, the more you have, the better they all look. Agree. Unless you've got like a few real nice pieces, like the few that I pulled out, you know. Let's see, the light's brighter over here. I don't know if that's better or worse. When you get a few nice pieces all by themselves, they will stand alone and are gorgeous all by themselves. But anyway, so that was day one's rocks. What about diffused on the paper plate? Look, that ain't bad either. Well, and there's two paper plates there. What if we just did one? Instead of poking a hole in it, what about one? That's not bad. It washes out the rocks still. They still look quite odd. But look at that plate full of color. Whew. There's some nice ones in there. Okay, that's day one. The 2 plates ain't bad. Okay. Ooh, now your phone's struggling with the white balance because there's no true white. It's always something. It's true. It's true, Donahue. Okay, so moving back to where we started, but day 2. Again, yeah, you can find the big ones, but they're kind of trashy. And then we had talked about like some of the host rock and stuff still being like there's some quartz in that one. And that one's definitely dirty with some like quartz and stuff. Hey there, Kelly, welcome back. You know, there's a little quartz in that one too. But there's a little bit of like, you know, garnet in some of those, you know? You know, they're not gem quality. Will be for real. And, you know, the truth of it is that it's probably a lot of these pieces that look like this that are getting smashed to bits as they're rolling down the hill and getting crushed between bigger rocks that's making some of these smaller pieces. So... that one leans a little more on like just the rock side of things. Look, that one was trying to be big and beautiful. Dark, 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 but nonetheless, it tried to be big and gorgeous. Again, they're big, but they're trashy, you know. Maybe I shouldn't use the word trashy. That's not very nice. But definitely not gem quality. They're fun to find, though. It was like, dang. So we were in a competition, like, you know, who can find the bigger rock here, and who could find the clearer rock. And again, so there's different ways to sort these out, you know. What is facetable, what is gem quality, and what's just novelty. You know, who can say they brought home the biggest stone this weekend? Oh, really? I did do vinegar, and I do have some muriatic acid. Would that work? I put muriatic on everything like it's Frank's Red Hot sauce. That one tried to be okay. And he just got whacked a couple times. Look, there's a quartz stuck down in there. He was maybe not trying to be okay. There's a perfect little donut. That classic garnet shape. I haven't looked for any stars or anything. Yeah, not likely that they would show any star. Look, that one's got some meat in it. That one's kind of nice. Focus. There it is. Yeah, that's a pretty gemmy chunk there. Few more, just kind of, like I say, I shouldn't call them trashy, but they're just, they're there, you know. And I haven't gotten any of these wet for you guys, but they look a little better when they're wet sometimes. That can kind of help you to see. So, but I prefer to just look at them dry. It's less messy. Like, that one looks super cool because it's kind of like a lighter pink, but wholly fractured. Like, if you squeezed that real hard, like if you put that in one of Chubby Hubby's teeny tiny vices, you would just, it would into tons of little pieces. It's not a bad chunk. Look, that's weird. That's weird. Emerald Creek in Idaho. Right on. Right on, Pat. Did you get any stars? These are Ruby Reservoir, Montana. All right, let's just pick out some of these that, you know, we're going to get down into that kind of stuff, right? And then we'll look and see what's got light coming through it, what doesn't, and then we'll take a quick refill up the cup up break, and then we'll grab a handful and we'll have a little hunt. Interesting, Pat. Yeah, if you happen to come across one or two of those, send me some pics. That's a not bad stone. I mean, it's probably not a cutter, but I'm thinking light comes through that bad boy. That's not bad. That's kind of a nice chunk. Just curious how many carats that is. I'm just going to do it off camera really quick. You guys will have to take my word for it. 8.05. That's huge. Look, that one's not real terrible either. Again, like kind of fractured and stuff. Probably not a real good 3.35. Probably not, you know, worth cutting. But okay, so there's some of the bigger ones, like I say. And then let's go ahead and pop on the light one more time. My light that overexposes my camera, but lets us see the gemmy goodness. Look at that one. Oh, she's pretty. Let's see what she weighs. 2.35. That one's pretty. Use garnets to clean my cabbing hard wheels. Really, Harold? I agree, Kelly, aren't they? Aren't they kind of delightful? Yeah, not every stone you pull out of there is gonna be a cutter. You know, they're definitely not all facet grade. They're definitely not all big enough to facet. But again, like, do you have other little side projects, little things you're doing? You know, do you have grandkids that you want to sit down and have a treasure hunt with? Are you not well and you just want to distract your brain, you know, and sit down and pick through and you know, focus on you know, picking these little garnets out and, you know, maybe finding a little treasure that'll put a smile on your face, because it's likely, you know, some of this stuff was easily went through my classifier, right? This is the kind of stuff that's in those bags. So there's easily, you know, that's a really pretty little stone, easily in one of those bags that I pulled out to give to you guys. So there's, even though they're not all cutters and even though they're not all big enough to be cutters and things like that, that doesn't mean that they don't bring people joy or have a purpose or a craft or a hot, you know. I mean, like, think about the opal guys. They have their little opal skull. Do you guys ever see their little opal skull? What if you did like a little garnet skull or something, you know? I mean, the possibilities are endless. So just because they're not all facetors doesn't mean that they're not fun or that they're, you know. And it certainly was fun to go up there and get them. And I've had fun in the past. Like I say, I've purchased material from a gentleman in Great Falls before, and I totally had a thrill going through it. You know, did I find $1 million stone in any? Negative. You know, even going there in person, did I find $1 million stone? No. Why? Because garnets are kind of common. They're not, you know, outrageous, expensive, or unobtainable. And again, most of the bigger ones are kind of trashy. I shouldn't say that word. I should find a different word. Somebody give me a new word, a different word than trashy. Hey, Kyle. Aw. Resort. Low quality doesn't sound any better. Thank you, though, one of mine. Thank you for a suggestion. Lesser quality, maybe? Non-facet grade? Okay, Ryan, I like that better than trashy, you know? Or low quality. I mean, they are low quality, but again, that doesn't mean that they don't bring somebody joy. Like we had, like I say, we had so much fun going up there and doing that, and I've sold bags of the stuff that I've purchased from the guy before. I've bagged it into smaller stuff, and everybody's had a good time with it as well. And so hopefully that's what I was able to grab while I was up there and bring home. I have no idea. We'll have to test a couple bags and make sure. I gotta go refill up my cup up. Let's see, what should I leave you guys to look at while I do that really quickly? I should have kept a few of those nicer stones out for you to look at. I'll just put day one just out on the plate in the baggie. I apologize that that's not the most super professional, you know, be right back display ever. But yes, it's time for a refill. And then we'll have a quick gem hunt. And then we'll say our adioses and rock out the rest of the week. It's, you know, we made it up the big hill. It's Wednesday. The rest of it's downhill to the weekend from here. You never know, Resort. I didn't look through it. When I saw the garnets in the dirt, I could see, like, if they were ones that I would want to pick up and keep for me, I would instead just like grab a handful and like hopefully I got the one that I saw, or like a lot of times they'd lay like 2 or 3 or 4 right next to each other, and I would just grab as much of the dirt as I could and hopefully I got them and drop it right into the strainer. So like I say, I know that there are stones like these little guys. I mean, I obviously didn't sit there and pick through all day to find, all of this. You're going to have the same kind of luck, minus some of the trashy ones. Well, there may be some of those in there as well, but all right, let me fill up my cup up and we'll reconvene in a couple seconds. There's so much dirt. So much dirt. Lava. I don't know where you put it. Thanks, one of mine, for stopping in. Have a good rest of your week and a good weekend. Happy hounding. Okay. I have down here at my feet the grocery sack that you guys saw me putting dirt into on the video. It is dripping sand all over. I've got a pinhole in it or something. Oh, hush up, train. Let's just grab a scoop, hey? Right? Is that how that works? We'll just grab a little scoopity scoop. Should we grab from over here or like way down in there? Over here. No? Here? There. Right about there. Ooh. I don't know what that is. A little piece of grass. Piece of grass. Okay. Oh, look, there's one. Saw 10 already, says Addie. Yeah, and that's not bad, hey? I'm gonna put him over here. And there's a little guy, but I'm gonna let, well, hell, if I can see it, I'll pick it up. There's one there too. Okay. Look, is that one? It sure is. It's one of those not facet quality ones, but it is one. Is that a chunker up there, or is that a red rock? That is a red rock. Tricked us. Look, there's kind of a nice little piece. Is it? Or is it a hematite? Might be a hematite. There's a tiny little one. Boy, I hope there's 10 of them in there, Addie. Oop, there's one. And there's one. I see one on the top over here. I'm going to snatch him out. Candy? Oh, thank you. I'm going to ring the bell for that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to hustle my little behinder off. Look at these little quartzes and stuff that you can find in here too. Again, what's your project? You know, what is your material that you hope to be able to do something with, you know? There's one. Yeah, I'm gonna hustle my little bum off. So anyway, while we're looking at some of this, we should talk about my new friend Joe, who I actually looked up, and he was like out on this peninsula kind of near where we were, and I actually for half a moment thought that it was Joseph, and I was like, yeah, get some, Joseph. Way to go. That one was freaking tiny. And looked down, did some more of my own digging and stuff, and then looked back up and thought, what the heck? That's not Joseph. And when we were walking out, we had to get closer to him, so I just popped on over and was like, hey, again, I feel like ask a local is always a really good thing if you're out hounding somewhere that you're unfamiliar with. That one's so tiny, holy crap. So I didn't know, you know, I'd asked everybody who looked like they'd talk to me, who got close enough to talk to me, if they'd been there before, or if, you know, they'd done that before. And like I say, the one guy, the first guy, I could hear him just sifting like crazy around the corner from me, and I was tempted to jump up and like go over there and ask, but I was pretty focused on looking for garnets. So he walked past me on his way out, though, with two little kids in tow, like little kids in tow. And he had, I'm pretty sure, a Huggies box. I'm pretty sure a diaper box hoisted up on his shoulder full of dirt. And he had the kids carrying little shovels and things and on their way out. And again, I asked him, you know, hey, do you come here often? And he was like, nope, first time. And I was like, mine too. And he offered me a little advice, you know, like, oh, I think I'd kind of found some of my best finds in this gravel bar or that gravel bar. Is that a mouse turd or a garnet? I think it's a garnet. I picked one up out in the at the reservoir that turned out to be a deer turd. No, that is a freaking turd or a seed or something. Want to know how I know? Because garnets don't float. That is not a garnet. Ew! Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, and so good for this guy and his kids getting out there and doing it. That was cool, cool of them. And like I say, he offered a little advice so to where he'd had luck and carried on up the treacherous mountain cliff, Billy Goat Cliff, to get up and down and in and out of there. I'm gonna just scoot some more of this up here where we can see, because I'm trying to not get carried away and get out of focus, out of frame. And then a girl walked by later, and she actually asked me, having any luck? And I had found, at that point in time, had found one of my bigger stones and was like, yeah, and I handed it to her and she looked at it real quick and I asked her, she came up and did that, do you garnet hound out here? And she said no, but that she had a girlfriend that was out there like at least every other weekend doing it, which I could see if I lived there, I'd probably be out there pretty dang often. That one was so tiny, but like I said, if I can see it, I'll grab it. I pushed a couple little tiny ones over there, but I don't care. That one's okay. It's small. And then there was my buddy that I met down at the end of the peninsula on our way out at the end of the first day. Joe was his name. Like I say, not hard for me to remember Joe's name. And he was over there with screen boxes and just sifting and tipping to beat the band. He wasn't checking to see if he had found anything. He was just sifting and flipping. And it was man, in the evening when the sun shines on that beach, it's like the golden hour. It just lights up the garnets and makes them stand out, makes them pop out. And so I didn't really want to bother him too much during that, prime. I can't tell if that's a garnet or a hematite. I didn't want to bother him too much during that prime hunting, but I did want to pop over there and ask, do you do this often? Do you have any hints? And it was also his first time. And I got to chatting with him, and in the first couple of seconds that I didn't even catch his name yet. We just started talking, like it was a little bit like Addie's keeping track. Good. They're not big though, Addie. He had just left the Blue Jewel. They were at him and his friend, and I didn't meet his friend or even catch his friend's name. They had just been at the Blue Jewel the day before. And he's like, they were so nice at the Blue Jewel. Like, oh man, do you remember the girl's name? And it's funny because he asked me if I knew her name. And I was like, yeah, it's Serena or Sierra or something like that. Like, I should remember her name. I really should. But I know it's something close to that. I just can't recall, if I have to be honest, what her name is. Anyway, he's like, man, they were so helpful and so nice up there. And we told him that we were getting ready to come here and do this next, and asked if there was anywhere in town that we could buy classifiers or, because we're going to need it up here. And they were like, I don't know, but we have a discard pile over there if you'd like to go over there and Frankenstein yourself something together, or take something that looks like it's still usable. You're welcome. And so here he was using a sifter that came from the Blue Jewel out here, his first try at Ruby Reservoir. And as if that's not cool enough already, he said that they were also just up at Spencer. And when he said that, my chin just hit the floor. And I was like, I'm sorry, what was your name? And he was like, my name's Joe. And I was like, Joe, it's nice to meet you. Like, that's just crazy. Like, and then get this. Not only have they done the Blue Jewel, Spencer, and now Ruby Reservoir, guess where else they've been? I'll ring the bell if somebody can name it. Guess where else they've been? And while you guys are guessing, I had seen him earlier in the day but didn't know it. I had seen some paddle boarders earlier in the day. Look at some of these fine little quartzes in here. Aren't these nice? So he informed me that him and his buddy had paddle boarded all over to all the different little beaches and kind of prospected a lot of them. Those are so small. And the beach that we were on currently is where they'd had their best luck so far. And so his plan was to run the boxes, get the garnets settled into the middle, and then flip the screens. And then hit those screens that he's, you know, those flops, those piles that he's flopped. Hit him with the headlamp as the sun's setting right there and see if the light coming through him helped him to make the finds any easier. Again, I really wished that I could have caught him the next day to see how that worked out. If he had any luck doing that. Is that one? Nope, that's a heavy. What about that? That is, yes. I really wish. So where else has he been? Anybody guessed? He's been to the Blue Jewel. He's been to Spencer. He's been to Ruby Reservoir. Where else might a rock... Look at that kind of cool little gray quartz. Where else might a rockhound need to go to just like... I mean, there's a few other places. There really are. Like, I'm thinking about World of Rockhounds hitting, you know, the Kremer or wherever... Sapphire Place. Right, they went to the Blue Jewel. Betty, where else? I'm stuck. No one has it. Come on, just take some guesses, you guys. It's gonna be like up here-ish, you know, in one of these northwestern states. Ooh. Are you? You are? The fossil fish place. Yeah, see, and I kind of think like there's a lot of places. Not the fossil fish place, though. Not Dryhead. Maybe something with park in the name. Oh, he had also been to Crystal Park. You are right about that, Joseph. He had also been to Crystal Park, but there's another one that I was thinking of. He was not thrilled with Crystal Park, he said. He said that him and his buddy dug a humongous hole. They were there for days digging, and that people kept coming up to the edge of the hole and like standing there gawking at them and like knocking rocks down their hole at them and stuff. And they're like, "What are you? Why do you got to stand there and gawk?" But I don't know if that is or isn't. I'm gonna let it go. That's kind of the way of those public places, right? The Sunstone place! Ding, 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 ding! We've got a winner! Kyle is just like killing it on this channel today. He's got the supers, he's got the answers, he's got it just like, he's like on it, man. Kyle. Candy is just on a sweet roll today. There's a couple more tiny ones in there. I'm not going to muck with them. That's a nice one there. Well, it's not nice. It's freaking tiny. There's another little tiny guy. Are we really doing that? I guess so. There's a bunch. This is like super tiny sand right here, though. There's a couple more bigger gravels over here on the edge of the plate. I'm going to let that little stuff go because there are some bigger gravels with some bigger rocks. So yeah, our buddy Joe and his friend um have, I mean, rock hounded like some of the like top spots, you know? I mean, so I was, again, like when he started listing some of the places that him and his friend had been, I was like, I'm sorry, what was your name? Like, wow. And it was crazy because we really like couldn't even finish sentences, and we were just like so excited to just like rock nerd on each other so hard that it was like I say, it was just like but I did get some, conversation out of it, and like I say, just nerded out so hard, geeked out so hard. That was so much fun. And I really, like I say, wish I could have caught up with him to find out, did he have any luck with that? You know, and then this was smart. I had asked all of the Googler questions and searched the interwebs, and thought that I had prepared myself to head up there. One thing that I didn't say out loud in the video, I did put it in the video description. Look, there's one that's kind of worth picking out of there, finally. Wear good shoes when you go up there. Like, sandals is probably not the best option. Wear, like, actual tennis shoes that you can tie on your feet. If you want to get in the water, bring your water shoes down with you. Because the footing up there is something else, man, something else. So, yeah, anyway, so I was there meeting Joe, and that's a chunker there. We're gonna put that in the dish. Pating, ready? Pating. He had his there, but like I don't text or call. Like I use Messenger a little. There's a chunker. And it's not my favorite thing to. I have a phone number, I don't even know what it is. I don't text. It's just not my fave. It's not something I'm into. So I want to like, maybe have a possibility of getting, keeping in touch with Joe. He just absolutely delighted me, though, all the stuff that him and his friend have been doing. But again, no cell phones. I don't know my phone number. It's not like you can look up Reservoir Rocks on YouTube because it's absolutely no service out there. Like, so I'm like, I looked around. I was trying to find a little rock that he could put in his pocket. I had a Sharpie on me. I was like, I'll just write Reservoir Rocks on a little tiny rock, and he can put it in his pocket and then check it out later when he gets up to service, right? I see these that I'm missing. I'm letting them go. They're too small. And I can't find one that's like flat enough to write on. And I'm like, looking around, and he was like, then it dawned on me. I was like, well, shoot, I'll just write it on one of these great big flat rocks. And you can take a picture of it. You don't even have to put the rock in. You don't even have to take the rock home with you. You can just take a picture of it. And so I wrote on a big flat rock out at the end of this peninsula, Reservoir Rocks on YouTube. If any of my viewers ever go there and find that rock, take a picture of it, send it to me. That'd be so cool. Anyway, so hopefully our friend Joe will look us up. He was asking, they had bagged up all their stuff from Blue Jewel and brought it down with them so that they could really take their time going through it, really fine-tooth comb it. Like they were hoping that maybe they'd find one or two of those like maybe secondary things in there, like maybe a little bit of gold or something. And so when he asked me, oh, you'd been to Blue Jewel? Like, did you find any gold? And I was like, as a matter of fact, I did. And he's like, oh, my buddy's going to be so delighted to hear that. And I'm like, you got to go watch my video, man. So, all right, I'm getting a little off of the camera, so I'm going to scooch. Some of those little quartzes are quite cute. Like I say, they're kind of cute. I see a couple of little garnets in there again. I'm gonna push past them. Ain't no big thing, chicken wing. Yeah, pushing past that. So you never know. You never know. Maybe Joe and his buddy will watch my videos. If you do, leave a comment for us, Joe, so we can all say hi. Then we went back to our camper. I can't remember if it was for lunch or if it was like totally the end of the day. I could hear down at the water, it got windy and just kind of like out of nowhere. There was a good thunderstorm at every afternoon. Whether it was at the Madison private party or if it was at Ruby Reservoir, there was a like thunderstorm every afternoon. So we had gone up to our camper and I could hear, and it kind of made me chuckle at first because what I hear is a mom who's like, come on, hurry up. And a kid who's like, I'm trying. And a mom who thinks that their kid is dilly-dallying. And a kid who's like, I'm not dilly-dallying. I'm paddling as fast as I can against the wind. So at first it's kind of funny because I can like kind of hear the frustration in both of their voices and I can see it from both perspectives, right? And I kind of chuckle a little bit as like Lava pops his head in the camper and he's like, what's so funny? Like I can hear that kid down there, and like I say, I can imagine both sides of the thought process here. These are so small. I'm not thrilled with this handful. We may have to classify that down just a little bit farther before I get it to you guys. Concentrate that just a little bit better. Anyway, so I even mentioned it to Lava, and then like a couple minutes later, he pops his head back out of the camper and sticks his head over the ledge and realizes that this kid has made like this much progress since the last time he looked over the edge, right? And like obviously paddling against the wind is not working out. And right about that very moment, what sounded like frustration and irritation in the kid's voice like really kind of turned to like full-fledged panic. And you could hear like the distress in this kid's voice all of a sudden. And Lava boogied down the little billy goat ramp and was like, bring it to shore. Come to shore. And I was coming down the hill behind Lava. And down the, craggy, you can't walk across that crap beach. Here comes Mom, and she gets to shore, and I thought it was a little boy at first, and it wasn't. It was a little girl. In fact, it was two little girls. One really little one, and so this older little girl, I mean, as soon as she got to shore, she was like kissing the shore. Like she didn't physically do that, but she was like so relieved. And like her main concern was her little sister, who she had in tow in this little inflatable dinghy out here in this headwind, right? And you could hear her. She's like, you don't understand. I'm paddling as fast as I can and my arms are gonna fall off. So yeah, when she gets to shore, she is like super relieved. She's barefoot. I had been barefoot on that beach earlier in the day and it was horrible. Like I say, if you want to take some water shoes down there with you, good idea, but don't wear your water shoes down there because the treacherous climb up and down. But anyway, all that I could do is I offered her a piggyback ride back to her camp, and she said no, thank you. And all I could do then was just offer her a little bit of wisdom that if she'd get higher up on the beach and out of this pokey little gravels, that she could step from boulder to boulder to boulder to boulder, and it would be much nicer on her feet. And she got hiked up there and was like, I'm good to go, thank you. And the mom was thanking us too, thank you for your help. And she had other kids following her down the beach. She was trying to wrangle them all. You stay there, you stop, no, stay there, no, you come here, no, you go there. Oh my gosh, it was something else. But yeah, that poor little girl, she was not making progress, and it was starting to wear her down a little bit, and she was starting to get panicked. So but yeah, disaster averted. It's like, it was funny too, because as soon as Joseph came, her mom was just telling her to keep paddling, keep paddling, keep paddling, and that was not working for her. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you've used your arms, now it's time to use your legs. Like, you're close enough, you can walk back to camp, it ain't no big thing, like. So okay, well, that was that handful of dirt. I'm super not impressed with that. We'll have to get that classified down just a little bit better. We'll screen through that one or two more times and make sure it's a little thicker for the win. Who knows, maybe the next handful will be a banger. But that's what was in there. That's not very good. That is not very good. We picked up some super tiny pieces. Yeah, poor little thing. That's a nice one. Yeah. So as soon as Joseph came over the hill and told her to come to shore, she was like, an adult who's going to save me. Like, she couldn't have veered that canoe towards shore any faster. Like, the first suggestion, the first notion to bring it to shore, she was like, my prayers have been answered, thank God. Anyway, another thing, so when we were at the Madison, and it hailed, there were people out floating the river when that storm came in. And I was looking out the back window of the camper thinking, I've been in the rain. I've been caught in the rain on my tube. Last year we got caught in a storm. It was not pleasant. When you go in, it's warm and sunny, and pretty soon, like, mid trip through the float, all of a sudden it's raining on you and you're freezing your butt off. That's not enjoyable. You want to get back to camp just about as fast as you physically can. So I was watching out. That's kind of weak sauce. Maybe I'll grab one more little handful. I was watching out the window as these people are going through exactly what I went through last year. They're stuck in the rain. They're freezing their butts off. They're just trying to get there. And then all of a sudden it started to hail. Good size hailstones, pushing dime size, some of them. Some of these bigger, garnets that I pulled out size, hailstones. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's that turd still stuck on the side of the plate. Let's get that gone. I'm thinking, my God, that's deadly. Look at that cool quartz. But here's a garnet. This is like A little nicer pile already. That's like lethal deadly. Like not cool. Like, you know, what do you do? Oh my gosh, you know. I'm thinking I want to go out there and holler like, come get in my camper. Like, oh my God, you're at the mercy of the weather. I'm going to let that one go. I saw it. And I stepped over to shut a window or, you know, something to that effect. And I came back and looked out the window and I was like, oh, wow. Thought in my mind. Joseph was at the hors d'oeuvre competition when that particular little blasto rolled in, or maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was over my shoulder. Anyway, looked out the window again, and I'm like, they've got some kind of like emergency, like inflatable bounce house thing that they just like popped up out there. Like, what? Like, what? There's a chunker. It's not very pretty, but it's a chunker. And I looked a little harder. I looked again, and I realized that they had gotten out of their raft. The floaters did. And had turned it upside down and gotten underneath of it to protect themselves from the hail. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I'd have thought about that. Like, I maybe would have thought about getting out and getting under the water a little bit to protect myself from the hail, but I don't know if I'd have been smart enough to get my tube or my raft or whatever it was and put it over my head. Like they built like they had like a little bounce house out there that they were under. Still like super not cool to be stuck in that, but way to fix it, you know, like way to solve the problem with what you've got. In fact, I thought, like, how come nobody's ever taught me that? Like, how come nobody's ever said, hey, if you're out floating the river, probably because there's no rivers on the prairie, is probably why I don't know that. But, yeah, so, you know, I want to get that public service announcement out there. If you are floating the river and a storm rolls in and it starts to hail on you, get out of your inflatable device and put it over your head. There's a couple little pieces of color there. There's a little guy. I'm going to push him over there. I don't want to take my time. There's one. Yeah, as long as the wind doesn't pick your raft up and take you to Timbuktu, for sure. For sure. Who said that? As long as it isn't windy. Donahue. Hold on tight. I mean, it is a like for dear life situation at that point in time. I can't tell. That's just a heavy. There's kind of a little tiny one. Yeah, that weather does that. It did that, like I say, it did that to us last year. It didn't hail on us, but it did rain, and it was not nice. I got cold and was like, I kind of wish I was back at camp right about now. That's just a little chunk of quartz. So, you know, it's always an adventure. That's a cool little heavy. I kind of like them when they look like little meteor rungs. The little hematites. That's a chunk. I almost sifted that off to the side. Ski. Patunk. There's a little guy. There's another little one. That might be one, but I'm over it. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with this bag of dirt very much. Looked like a good spot. I was questioning this as I fingered through it last night though too. I was like, yeah, it doesn't look super gemmy. Some of the rest of it, like you can't do this to it without there being, 8 garnets. But this, I was like, I don't know. I mean, there's lots in there, but man, they are so tiny. F that. We're not doing that, Like, there's lots of those in there. There we go. Are you, or are you a hematite? That is definitely one. We'll put that in the thing. So yeah, I only picked up 1 deer poop, and whatever that was, little mouse turd or whatever that was over on that first plate. I got mauled by the ants. The ants out on the prairie are at least like straightforward. Like at least they're gonna light you up in the moment if they're gonna light you up. I don't know what was up with those ants out there. I was like, oh well, they're annoying. There's tons of them, which makes them annoying. But they aren't biting. Yeah, wrong. They were doing something to me because I was covered in welts the next day. Itchy little burny little welts. There's a couple. Not very big, but there's a few. Let's see. Yep, you can see them, can't you? Yep, that's right where the camera's at. Perfect. 2, 3 of them right in a row. They're tiny, though. Four of them right in a row. Whoa. I looked at that real close up, and now I need to take a drink before I can focus back on that little plate. Resort. The cactuses out here have a special sting to them too. If they reach out and get you, like it just like lingers around. Even after you pull it out, it still kind of lingers. It's kind of yucky. All right, I'm gonna kind of finish this quick. I'm gonna go grab a small handful from another bag. See if it's any different. See, there's tons of still a little shit in there. Oh, no, maybe if I went through it a little more careful. Is that a turd? No, it's a garnet. Okay. I'm over it. There might be a few more in there still that are super teeny. Oh, God, did I check that out like 3 times already? It's a heavy. Okay. I'm over it. Landed right next to a little tiny garnet right there. Okay, I'm over it. Okay. I'm going to run over to the bags and grab a little bit different dirt. Yes, I use my UV. So you guys are chatting. I'm glad because I haven't been able to keep up on the chat while I look at tiny rocks. Oh my God, it's so heavy. All right. Oh, this is sandy stuff. Ooh, it's under my fingernails. Definitely a different spot. And hopefully not tons of tiny crap. Hopefully there's a little something. Looks, I can see a few in here, like bigger ones too. That's much better. There's another one just sitting on top. That's much more what we're after. Look, we should be able to just pick them out here like that. That's better. That's better. Look, we barely got 10. Addie was counting. She was counting. But look, already we've added like a F bunch more big chunks to that. Like 1, 2, 3, 4 big pickers. Those count. Hello, Kevin. I didn't say hello to you when you came in. I'm so glad you're here and you could join us today. And Donahue Labs is giving seriously like sound wisdom and advice there. Thank you so much, chatters, for helping each other out there. Here's a little pretty one. There's some black sand in there. All right, I'm gonna let that little tiny guy go, but let's get that one. Oh yeah. There's definitely some little finds in there that I'm not pulling out of there. Look, because we're after at least things like that. Look how red that dirt is, though, that sand. It's just full of little micros. And some black sand. Lots of heavies. I'm telling you, these bags of dirt are heavy. They're especially heavy when you're trying to billy goat them up the mountain or up the cliff. And as Chubby Hubby pointed out earlier, I'm a prairie girl. I am not used to that uneven terrain. Yeah. There's a few of them in there. Like that one. I'm going to let it go. Hopefully there's one or two more in here that look like rabbit turds. Yeah. Hey. So how about you guys? Did anybody have any grand adventures this weekend? Anybody go to their equivalent of Ruby Reservoir in their neck of the woods? Do anything exciting? Did y'all just hide from the tornadoes and the heat and the... Icky! Patrick was doing the wildfire smoke stuff, trapping him inside. Got a little smoky on our way home. I think Lava looked it up. It might have been from fires all the way over in Oregon. I think we might have assumed that they were closer than that, but I think it was. I think he said, Yufta. I came all the way from over there, which happens. Welcome back, Kelly. Yeah, we didn't want you to miss out either. So we're still hanging out. That's so small. Can't believe I got that. There's a nice one. I was even just right off the bat much happier with that handful of dirt. That's why I didn't just stick to one spot on the beach and grab dirt, guys. That's why if I thought the spot looked good, I would grab a bag. And then I'd move on to the next spot that I thought looked good and grab a bag and rinse and repeat, you know. And I'll take a handful out of each one of those bags and look through it like this and make sure that it's meeting my quota, my standards of what I want to find in my lot. You know, like if I were to get a bag of this, what would I hope to find? Again, they're small. They're so small. But there are some decent sized pieces in there. And some of them are not facet quality, I think is the term that we decided we agreed was least offensive to the sweet little stones. And some of them are. So a large majority of them are not. A large majority of them are just novelty. But, oops, I dropped it. But some of there's a stone here and there that's worth you know, bragging that you found. Oh, see, there it is. There it is. There's the stone that's worth bragging about in that handful. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy. You're going to have to excuse me for just a second while I have a little sip of coffee. Cheers. Cheers. Hi there, Jennifer. Glad that you could join us. You know, I just kind of squirrel them away. I don't facet. So, and then sometimes I'll like, you know, put them in a little jar and put them in the window because the sun catches them so pretty. Gosh dang, that's a gosh dang nice stone. I hope everybody who gets a bag of this gets at least one little deer turd like that in their bag. I really, really do. Like I say, I didn't high grade any of this. I don't need to. I had access to the beach for 2 days. I got more garnets stashed away than I know what to do with. But I want you guys to have the opportunity to do treasure hunt at home. You know, maybe you're not the most mobile. Maybe you can't drive all the way to Montana. It's not in your budget. It's not in your future plans. But you'd like to maybe take a chance at finding a little gem like that. I'm going to put a lot of this into some smaller bags just so that they ship nice. You know, I do have gallon bags and stuff full of dirt, but I don't think I want to ship it at like gallon size. I think I'd rather ship small, like $5 parcels, you know. And this was one handful. Like I say, I would rather just sell like, you know, a couple handfuls in a little baggie. And I really hope you guys are able to find something like this in your bag. I'm going to make some of them available on the Shopify for people who aren't in the lives and, you know, things like that. And then I'll probably throw together just some little small bags to give away as little bonuses in the next few packages that were bought. So you get a Maui head until the Maui heads are gone. And then, like I say, I'll probably put together some little goodies. But if you want more than just a little, you know, God dang, that thing is hefty. Let's see what it weighs. If you want more, if you wanted, like I say, an adventure with your grandkids, a gift to your niece, you know, 2.35 carats. These are great little gift ideas, and they're affordable, and they're what a great little distraction, you know, from the forest fire smoke outside or the blizzard outside or whatever it is, you know, the backache, you know, the throbbing pain in your back, you know, whatever it is that's got you, you know, needing a little distraction and a little rock therapy, you know. I just want to offer that. Listen, ready? Pating. That was a good little drop. And again, I didn't high grade any of this. I don't need to, but I will go through each, just a handful, a little sample of each one of the bags and make sure that, you know, it's not totally just fines. Like that first handful we pulled out of that bag, I was not impressed. Too many. I mean, there was numbers. Addie was counting them. Would she come up with like 25? But they were grains of sand size. Again, enough of those is pretty, but I want to kind of be able to suggest that you're going to at least find something that you don't need a tweezer to get out of there. So, I liked that bag, that handful a lot better. There's still a lot in there. You know, I could come back through it again and again and pick out some more littles, but it's all right. We'll let it go. Like I say, there's still just tons of little sand-sized pieces in there. It's 2, 3 more in there. I'm over it. We're going to let that go. The star of the show was found there. We already pulled it out of there. We don't need to look anymore. So, yeah, you can tell, like, look at the difference, how fine sandy this is, and then this is just a little bit more coarse. You would think that more coarse material would mean bigger garnets. You know, you want to find bigger rocks, look in the bigger gravels. But turns out we found a lot of our bigger stones in this super fine stuff. Yeah. I got to play around in it a little bit and find out, you know, where was the best spot? Lava prospected all the way up in the hillside. He was chiseling away. He dang near needed a paleo pick to get in there and get some of that pulled out of there. You know, did he find stuff? What's in his stuff? Hey, kid, welcome. She just gave you Montana's 4 seasons, the smoker, the blizzard. Kid. Oh, my goodness. I can't wait. I missed so much of the chat while I was focused on sifting through that dirt. I can't wait to go through and read the last half of the comments. I'm scrolling through them super quick right now. Just kind of, yeah. Oh my gosh. So, that was a little better. That second bag, that second handful, that was a ton bit better. That stone is beautiful. I want to be sure you guys are going to find at least that in your goodie bags, you know? Like, F all those little tiny sandy guys. Like, really? Let's not brag about those. That second bag had all those bigger stones in it. That second handful. I like that a lot better. So like I say, I've got some work to do. I've got some stuff to kind of, you know, like I say, prospect through it a little bit. Make sure it's meeting my standards, my quotas, my expectations before any of it even is considered to go out the door. That might be shit. So, I do want to make it available for you guys. That was definitely part of the point of going down there and bringing out the bags of dirt was, like I say, a little rock therapy, a little fun with the grandkids, you know. especially the little rock hounds in your life, you know, like, do they need a little treasure bag for their birthday? Do they need a little treasure bag for stocking stuffers this winter? You know, just, you can't go wrong. It's again, is there value here, like dollar value? If you faceted that, sure, but otherwise, nah. But is it a fun little treasure hunt? Hell yeah. Okay, gosh, resort. uh, so yeah, there were some fun little side rocks. Really very few. A lot of it was quartz. But we did pick up a couple weirdos and a couple funsies, you know. We did pick up some garnets. So many garnets. We brought home so much dirt. There's dirt bags up and down the hall over there. So, give me just a little bit. I also still on my agenda have to price and list somewhere, you know, whether it's a live sale or something coming up soon or whatever, but I've got all these finished dino bones that we looked at last week that I want to get priced and into the right hands as well, into their new homes, their new hands. I want them to go meet their makers. So I have a lot of dirt work to do, a lot of housekeeping sort of stuff, you know. Sorting, bagging, labeling, tagging, listing, all of that stuff. And I still have just a couple of outliers that I need to get with. Jeff, I still haven't resent your invoice. I will do that soon. And Addie, I've got rocks set aside for Addie that I really just want to double check before I put in the mail, make sure I've got it right. And then extras, little goodies, like if I'm going to send to Addie, like, let's not send without a couple of little garnets and stuff, you know. You guys get to be part of the adventure that way. Not just watch it on YouTube, but, you know, have a little hands-on interaction too. Have some of the gravels, go through it. Pick out your own garnets. Hey there, soul. I'm in love with this rock. I shouldn't be. There's no reason to be, but gosh dang, it's darn pretty. Anyway, let's just call it, I think. Like I say, I've got a lot of work to do, which doesn't intimidate me in the slightest. I mean, the amount of time allotted to do the work is a bit of a, you know, a shocker. I have that time management issue, that ADHD flavor that gives you the time management issues where I'm like, oh, it's 10 minutes until I have to go to work. Let's repaint the house and take a shower and, you know, mow the grass. Like, how the hell do I think I'm going to get that done in 10 minutes, you know? But for some reason. So I have like that kind of work, like, you know, check this stuff for quality, bag it, tag it, weigh it, label it. Get the dino bones out there and listed so that I'm not just sitting on those until they are, you know, lost in the horde. Sending out a couple of those last little straggler invoices and emails and things like that. Oh, it's that flavor of ADHD, ma. It's a superpower sometimes and a disability other times. I have total time management blindness. I do, however, work really well under pressure. Like, dude, I could get nothing done all day. Or it's like, you know, when you have company coming over and you panic clean the house And then like, you know, like a couple weeks go by and you're looking around and you're like, wow, I haven't panic cleaned the house in quite a while, and it shows. You know, like I can really get some shit done in a, you know, when I'm like, I only have 10 minutes. So I can get a lot of stuff done, but my mind does not do the maths with the times, with the abilities, with the, you know, if it were multiplicity and I had like 3 of me, maybe. But yeah, you know, I just have that time blindness. Like some people have like portion blindness, you know, and they're like, whew, my eyes were bigger than my stomach, you know. Yeah, well, I always bite off more than I can do in the allotted time too, right? So, or at least I try. I put it on the plate and have high hopes. Mm-hmm. It's all right. You can put it on the plate, have high hopes, and come back for, you know, snack later after you've made a little room. So, yeah, yeah, there's some of that too, Resort, for sure. So anyway, we'll sing the song with these little stones here because we did get like garnet blind. I'm not joking, you guys. First night after we did this and I laid down to go to bed that night, all I could see was garnet gravel. Second night, when we laid down to go to bed that night, all I could see was garnet gravel. First night home, after, and we pulled in pretty late. It was like midnight, 11:30, 12:30, something like that. When I laid down to go to sleep that night, all I could see was garnet gravel. So I'm not real certain if I dreamed or not, but when I closed my eyes, it was definite, like, you know, definite garnet gravel, you know, blindness almost, if you know, if there is such a thing. So, and then, by the way, I know it's kind of silly, but we took a little side quest, a little, yeah, thanks, Chubby Hubby. And yeah, we're almost through here. I'll sing the song, but we took a little back road to go get Chick-fil-A. Not joking. We drove a little ways out of the way to go get Chick-fil-A. I'm kind of a fan of their spicy chicken sandwich with the pickles on it. So, but the back road that we took, the little detour that we took was so cool. Like there were all these huge boulders and they were like stacked like perfectly and like just hanging, like it just defying gravity and shit. It was just cool. And so it's definitely a little like secondary road, like super skinny, and it's weaving and stuff. So like you're not pulling over to take pictures of it, but I whipped the camera out and filmed it. I'll probably put it up for members only. I got such a kick out of it. I was like, this is such a trip. Anyway, so yeah, lots of editing and things, you know. I got home Tuesday night. Tuesday day, I did a little bit of camper work, you know, the fridge. I still have dirty laundry and stuff out there I should go get, but I did a little bit, the cooler in the fridge, that kind of thing. And then hauled everything in, all the rocks in and stuff, and then cleaned everything up and edited video and had it ready to go today. So I really haven't stopped. I kicked my own butt. Okay, I don't remember how to say this. Addilus. You're gonna have to help me out again. I'm so sorry. Yeah, same thing with the time management. Like vowels and phonics are not my strong point either. Math, I can do the math. I just can't do the time and spelling. Not good. Dyslexia, whatever it is, not good. My brother was writing a shopping list one time and I asked my brother, how do you spell marinara? He can't spell either. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, marinara. And I was like, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was a blast up there. I could just keep chatting all afternoon about it, but we'll visit more. And like I say, I've got a little bit of members only footage there that I'll throw out for you guys if I get around to it. So We'll see. Lots and lots and lots and lots. We'll see you in the ozone. Exactly. We'll see you. We'll see you at Kyle's. We'll see you at Chubby Hubby's. Oh my God, he's been cracking me up lately. Holy moly. And that Opal guy has been doing some lives as well. So please check that out. We had a link earlier to go check out Kelly's channel. If you get a free moment, or if you're sitting around wondering what to do with your bad self, those are some things that you can do that, you know, me and Joseph always say when we're here, like, vote with your time, right? Like, you are voting for what you want on YouTube with your watch hours. You know, do you want AI generated slop, or do you want community hangouts and edutainment? You know, do you want brain rot, or do you want, you know, it's not always that black and white either. Sometimes there's, and I have my guilty pleasures as well. I watch some absolutely like guilty pleasure kind of stuff sometimes too. But that, you know, that's got its time and place. But for the most part, like, I like to vote with my time that I like watching you guys, you know. And again, Opal guy, we kind of you know, we kind of joke about it. Oh, got to get your 3 cents in ad revenue today. Yeah, but again, I promise I'll turn that back into the community and do something cool with it. So it is a little bit of that. Like, even if you just leave it on while you're doing dishes, or you're at work lurking while you're working, or you're folding laundry, or you're driving, or you're walking the dog, or you're leaving your dog at home. Dogs love it if you leave rock hounding channels on for them to watch while you're at work. I know so. I've tested it for science, and it's proven. They love it. So, cats too. Cats are a little more reserved with their comments and their reactions, but they do like it. So, birds do too, I've found out. I didn't know that until just recently, but the bird owners have been telling me that the birds like it if you leave it on. So, on that note, we're going to sing and we're going to get out of here. Soul, go check Soul out. She's got some really badass material for sale right now. Go scoop you guys up some, and then show us what you did with it. Hopefully our friend Joe, who we met at the reservoir, can find us and leave us a comment somewhere sometime, or even if he just enjoys watching a couple of videos, and that would be fun too. I had fun on this adventure. I'm so glad I got to take you guys along in the way that I did. You know, we'll do it some more. We'll do it some more here. We'll do it some more there. We'll do it some more everywhere. Ryan, go check Ryan out. He was sharing some of his dad's rocks. Ryan, your dad had such a cool eye. Like, he picked out some of the coolest stuff. And I know, like, you know, not everything was probably his favorite in his collection or whatever, you know, but dang, he had a cool eye. He had a really neat collecting point of view. I don't know what the word is there. He had a good eye. I like it. Oh, that is true, Ryan. That is true. But again, if you got the premium, that pays too. I do get a little couple pennies from the premium people as well. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and for hanging out all around the community and supporting each other and sharing the love and the wisdom and all of that great stuff. And stay tuned for more adventures, hopefully in the near future, and lots of, I'm over here busy, lots of work for me to do, so I'm gonna get after it, and I'll see you guys again around in things, and here, there, and everywhere, and happy hounding and all of that great things and stuff, and cheers and all of it. All right, pretty rocks out on the prairie, pretty rocks are everywhere, pretty rocks for us to look at, pretty rocks are everywhere. There's a pink one, and a green one, and a blue one, and a yellow one, and they all are very pretty, and they all are everywhere. See you guys over at Karen's. Go check it out. I'll see you there. I'm going to be lurking while I'm working. All right, in a world where you can choose to be anything, choose to be kind of a rock hound. Boop. Peace, hippies.